on, everyone? Welcome back to Dipped in Tone. I'm Rhett.
I'm Zach.
That was a pretty good intro this week. I've had kind of a rough go of it the last couple of attempts, but that one seemed to have gone okay.
Man, I'm glad you did it, because I've just not been myself. I don't know what happened. NAMM destroyed me, and then I feel like I got sick again, and then recently I got sick, and it's just been, I don't know. I don't know what I got last time, but it was weird. So
I am just now feeling like I'm getting back to normal after NAMM. After NAMM Thrax 2025, it wrecked me, man. And COVID brain fog is a real thing, and apparently can stick around for like 6 to 8 weeks, which I think has been happening for me. I think I'm like finally just starting to come out of the fog.
Yeah, I think I had. I mean, I was just so exhausted that I had brain fog as well, because I had flu, but you know. If anything, we can look forward to the fact that we're moving out of that flu season and just moving into allergy season. You know?
Hell yeah, brother! Can't wait. The yellow the yellow storm is about to descend upon the southeast.
Oh,
for those of you who are watching and listening who don't live in a part of the world where you have pollen like we do here in the South, all the pine trees, it is like it's hell on earth. It's hell manifest. It's just yellow clouds. I mean, at peak, if you have pine trees around you, wind will blow and you'll just see literal like clouds of yellow dust.
Well, the worst are Bradford pear trees.
Oh yeah.
Which they're one of the most beautiful. They're huge and white and they're incredible looking, but they make the most pollen. And as soon as like that season hits, I'm just like, I'm talking like this. And what sucked is like growing up my whole life, like, as soon as it was nice outside, my dad was like, let's get to work.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, just Zyrtec, Claritin, you know. But how are you doing?
Good, man. Got a lot going on. Been playing on a record for the last week, recording for a friend, his solo record. That's been really fun, actually. It's been a minute since I've just like done a proper session, like more than a one-day thing. And it's just been so much fun, kind of putting my session guitar player hat back on. Really cool vibey studio in downtown Atlanta. Been going down there. So after we're done recording today, I'm going to go down for I think 1 or 2 more days and finish up what we're doing down there. And then otherwise getting ready for these shows that are coming up. I've got 3 shows in March. One of them is in Stillwater, Oklahoma at their bike race, Mid-South. I'm playing with Zach Person and Susie Jones there. And then I'm doing 2 co-headline shows for the first time ever. One's in Nashville, March 20th at the 59 Room. Have you been there? It's like East Side Bowl.
Oh, yeah. I've been to
it's
East
whatever
Side
their
Bowl.
new room is over there. It's like, it seems pretty cool, but
Okay.
that'll be cool. That'll be co-headline, me and Zach Person. And then March 23rd, Atlanta, Georgia, hometown show at the Vinyl. So get tickets. It's going to be fun.
You know, it should be a good show, a good turnout, because that weekend in Nashville as well is the Amigo Guitar Show.
Oh, yeah.
Which Mythos will be at. And I've been to a lot of guitar shows and I bought stuff as just a person, but I'm going to try to buy stuff as a store. And
oh, yeah.
I'm going to have to like ask my friends, like, how does that work? Do like people like actually give discounts, you know, like, if it's store stuff? But I'm curious how that'll go. But the Amigo show is a fun time. And you never know what you're going to see. So.
Yeah, I went there years and years ago. It was cool. It's a good time. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it because we have to get back down to Atlanta for the next show, but it's going to be a good time.
Yeah. And I say Nashville. It's in Franklin, which is like not Nashville. Like,
yeah, but close enough.
Well, I don't know. Like that one feels so far removed, because like anyone that comes to like our shop or you come to my house and you're like, geez, you're like so far away, but it's like not that bad. But going from like middle of Nashville down to Franklin is a pretty long hike.
Yeah, you're on Nashville scale though. From in Atlanta scale, where I live to where I'm going to in the city for this tracking session is 40 minutes, 45 minutes without traffic. Yeah. And that's like normal. So, you know, for you Nashville folk, it's cute hearing you guys talk about like,
I know
traffic and drive
city.
Times. And
okay.
Yeah, Nashville is just a big little town. That's all it is. Yeah.
Absolutely. So before we get started, we want to thank all of our patrons over on Patreon. If you want to learn more about supporting the show, you can go to the link in the description or the show notes and learn more about the tier over on Patreon. I and Addison now are trying to figure out how to be more interactive with you guys. Unfortunately, the past couple weeks I've been so out of my mind sick and like snow days and stuff. I haven't been able to post as much, but we're going to get back on schedule. It's the world seems to rally against me sometimes, but
yeah, we got a lot of stuff, a lot of cool episodes and stuff coming up. And if you join our Patreon, you can watch the episodes live, which we got a good handful of people here hanging out with us in the chat. And then you get access to a bonus episode each week, which is a ton of fun. So great way to support the show. If you like what we do here, also subscribe.
Yes.
If you're watching on YouTube or wherever you are streaming the podcast, follow us, leave us a review, give us a like. It helps new people find the show and takes us one step closer to world domination, which is our goal here at Dipped in Tone. So take us there.
Infinity Gauntlet.
Nice. Are we? You just want to jump into the topic today? I'm actually kind of excited about what we're talking about.
Let's do it.
So, modern classics in terms of guitar pedals. We live in a golden age of guitar. I mean, there's no question. And if you look at just the access that we have now to the amount of gear and how great the gear is nowadays and the variety of stuff that's available for people has never been better. So, but it can be kind of overwhelming, especially in the guitar pedal world, dude. There's so much stuff out there. So we thought we'd take a look at what we think are modern classics in the guitar pedal space. So some criteria here. These are pedals that are sold new today. You can buy them brand new from a company. So nothing that, went out of production in the 90s or whatever. And no real like effect categories per se, just stuff that Zach and I think stand out and will stand the test of time as great all-time pedals. So right. I got a couple lined up. Do you have, you want to go first?
Well, yeah, I mean, like, this is hard because it's like the fact that it's still going to be in production, that changes some of my thoughts. Because, like, I'm trying to think of stuff like you want to say the Klon, but even the Klon, I mean, like, the Klon is not modern. Well, it's vintage now.
Yeah.
Kind of, right? Right? Wait,
well, I think
25.
The spirit of this to me is like pointing people in a direction of stuff that like you just can't go wrong with. Like any of these pedals, you can't make a bad decision on. Yeah. Whether you buy it new or buy it used or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's like, and we'll have links in the description too to all of this stuff. Those will be affiliate links to Reverb or Sweetwater or whatever. We'll have them all labeled. Yeah. Another great way to support the show, if you like we do. But yeah, it's like basically, if you're shopping for something, any of these pedals we think are classics and will stick around for a reason. So
yeah, I mean, I think I get asked the question a lot about reverb, because I think a lot of us, we're always looking for that new, that latest and greatest. And I think one of the greatest pedals of all time is the Strymon Flint. Yeah. I think that you can't miss with it. And I don't know, for me, and I think for most people, we often kind of get in the weeds with how much reverb flexibility we need. Yeah. And I think the Flint has all you really need, at least for the average Joe.
It definitely has all you need for just the meat and potatoes reverb stuff.
Yeah.
I would not say all you need for just the average Joe necessarily, because I think a lot of players are wanting to do more of that modern, polished reverb kind of thing and maybe some more ambient type stuff. But when you look at what the Flint does with the reverb options, like it's not just the spring, that plate on there, the plate reverb is fantastic. Yeah. With the tremolo side, having the harmonic trim on that is amazing, because if you take it all the way down, take the rate all the way down and the depth all the way up, you get into univibe territory with it, which is super cool. And it does the classic Fender thing where it's reverb into tremolo. Yeah. So you can modulate the reverb trail with the tremolo like a real old Fender amp, which is super cool.
And one of my favorite things about it, and something that I struggle with a lot of other pedals, especially when you get into tremolos, especially harmonic tremolo, is like the Flint is dead quiet. there's no hiss, there's no noise, there's no nothing but the sound of your guitar and the effect. And I feel like like that is so incredible. And it just comes down to how well the Strymon team is at programming stuff, and designing the circuit. But I don't know. I've played other harmonic tremolos and they sound cool and they do cool stuff. But okay, there's the Joey amp over my shoulder here, has harmonic trem. Sounds awesome. It's incredible. And I've played pedals and people are like, oh, you can just do this and get kind of the similar thing. It's like, nope. But the Flint, I think, gets closest.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So I would go so far as to say, if you're getting into pedals and you're interested in any kind of reverb, you should probably just go ahead and get a Flint, even if you're going to end up getting some other stuff in the future. It's kind of a staple effect, I think.
Yeah.
It's so versatile. And the updated version they did a few years ago, I forget what exactly they added. Was it like, Addison, do you know what they changed on the version 2?
Yeah, they've got pre-delay now, and then all the V2s have a different input. So it's like a JFET input stage, basically, which actually does make a difference. And I think that first came out on the Volante.
Yeah.
But they sound better. V2s sound better. I feel like I had a V1 L cap for a while, and it was just hard for me to like deal with the mix. But something that they did on the V2 pedals, they're excellent. So I've got a V2 Flint, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, they're great. Also, the cool thing with Strymon is analog drive-through, because they're all digital effects, but you're not fully converting your analog signal like on the H9, for example, right? Like some digital effects, like I believe the original H9 has a converter, so A to D on the way in, D to A on the way out, so you're always converting your signal. Whereas with Strymon, it's only converting. You keep an analog dry signal through, and it's blending the digital converted signal in underneath it. So that's a nice touch. Mm-hmm. Cool. Hell yeah, Flint V2. Yeah. Go get you one. All right, mine is going to be. I think you're going to like this one. It's an overdrive.
Oh,
the Exotic BB preamp.
Oh man.
Now this was the first or second overdrive pedal I ever bought back in like 2010, I want to say 9 or 10. And it stayed on my board for years and years. And I sold it to buy something else and regretted selling it, and then ended up getting one of the newer ones now. Classic overdrive, yes. Really versatile. You can, it's one of those drives, it'll work with any guitar, with any amp, from light gain to sort of colorful boost stuff to really saturated sort of smooth clipping, Dumble-ish kind of sounds, to some pretty heavy distortion. I think the Exotic BB Pre is a classic.
It definitely is. And I was trying to find it here on one of these guitar retail websites. It's funny, that thing is a modded tube screamer.
But you know what?
It's very different.
It's different, and okay. The thing with the tube screamer is too much mid-range for me. It's just too much mid-range. Yeah. The BB Pre or other versions of the tube screamer style clipping circuit is it gives you that EQ control. Timmy's not a modded tube screamer circuit necessarily. No. It's kind of a different thing. But point is, like, you have the high and low control. Yeah. You have a lot more tone shaping possibilities with the BB than you do the tube screamer. Therefore, it's a better pedal. You can make it do the tube screamer thing pretty easily. Like, if you want it to sound like a tube screamer, you can just get it dialed in to sound like a tube screamer. But it'll do things that a normal tube screamer will not do. Therefore, it's a far superior pedal. Yeah,
and I say that it's kind of, it's not exactly a tube screamer, because what makes the BB so special, and I think something for you in particular that I would imagine that you like, is it has a back-send-all
EQ. Yeah.
Which is, and I'm not sure in the BB if it's an active back-send-all or what, but it's almost like a, studio style high and low pass filter on.
We should break down the back-send-all EQ for people that don't know what that is.
Right. So back-send-all, and there's a bunch of different permutations of that sort of tone stack structure. But basically, It's a filter arrangement where your signal comes in and you have an adjustment over the high and low. And basically when everything's at noon, it's flat, and then you can cut or add frequencies for both treble and bass. And
simple.
Yeah.
You kind of can't make it sound bad. That's the brilliance of that tone stack, that EQ circuit, and specifically with the BB preamp. It's a really great first overdrive. It was a great first overdrive for me when I didn't know what I was doing, because there's kind of not a bad sound in it. And it's a really active EQ that, again, doesn't let you get into too much trouble within, reason, depending on how you have your amp set and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, man, can't go wrong with the BB.
They're classic. And it's funny, I feel like a lot of people, I think that was Matthew's first. Oh, 2 seconds.
Hold for FedEx.
Okay. Another criteria that I'm curious about is if a pedal was made back in the day and is still made today, can that be, that doesn't count. Like a DS1.
No, if you can buy it today new, it counts.
But it can't be, so that's just a classic. It's not a modern classic. I think we probably need to pick with stuff that's a bit more
okay. I think that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. So like we have our our Hall of Famers, the DS1s, the Blues Drivers, basically anything Boss made. And
yes.
You can throw the Tube Screamer in there. You can throw maybe the Klon goes in there too. The DL4, someone in the chat, NYK in the chat says DL4. I'd put the DL4 in the sort of classics category. It's established, and I would include the Mark II in there as well, because it's the updated version of the DL4. Yeah. So people in the chat or in the comments who are like furious that we're not covering some of these classics, we're just considering those things like established classics. Fuzz Face, Dunlop Wah.
That's what makes this kind of stuff so hard, especially for me, because it's funny because you live in the space better than I do.
In what space?
In like the newer pedal space, because all things considered, when I'm trying stuff, it's usually I'm looking backwards to try to find things to unlock where I want to go. From a design standpoint, from a sonic standpoint.
Yeah, but that's what makes this a good discussion, because we're covering both sides of the spectrum here. Like, I'm going to point people towards like the modern sort of future classics that I think are like killer. In fact, my next one's going to be that. And you're kind of going back the other way.
One pedal that I think about a lot and I truly regret getting rid of, and I think that this was really smart from this company to do this. I think the Boss Waza series are going to like surpass eventually all of the pedals that they are the updated version of. And I think the DM2 Waza pedal is because you guys know me and I love analog, I love simple delay, and I think that sort of thing, if you want that sort of kind of iconic feel and personality, it's kind of hard to miss with those. And I'm having a hard time not picking any Mythos stuff too, by the way.
No, I agree. Like the Wazacraft stuff's amazing. In fact, their FZ1 Wazacraft fuzz, which is not a Maestro clone, it's a different thing, is one of the best fuzzes out there. And that's one that I always point people towards as like a first fuzz option. Because I feel like so many players out there have a bad taste in their mouth around like with fuzz pedals, or they don't like them, and they're like, oh, I just don't like. It was like, because you haven't found the right one. You have to find. There's so many varieties of fuzz. They're like overdrives. There's so many types of overdrive and distortion that do different things. That if you've only played a handful of fuzz pedals, that doesn't cover the whole gamut. So yeah, the Waza FZ1 I think is a great jumping off point for fuzz, because it's super versatile and it can be relatively tame. It doesn't have to be like the scary ripped speaker Velcro, your amp's about to die kind of fuzz that I love so much. But yeah, the Wazacraft stuff's sick.
Yeah. So what are some others for you that you think if someone says, hey, I've got to build a board, I'm just going to go down to the local X, Y, or Z shop and put together, what's one that you would recommend everyone like starting with?
Well, okay. that goes in a slightly different direction than I was going to say for my next one, because my
Oh,
next
okay.
one is not that. But no, I'll get my next one in on that. Okay, this might be a little out of left field, and it might be something that people say like, what do I need that for? But I truly believe this. A JHS Color Box V2.
Oh, okay. I would say the Color Box is definitely a modern classic.
This is a modern classic. This is so much. This is capable of so much. You can do so many things with a Color Box V2. It is a preamp. It's a DI. It is an EQ. It is a fuzz. It is a microphone preamp. It's a mixing tool. It's a way to play bass through it, play acoustic guitar through it. You can split your outputs and do parallel processing. This is an absolute workhorse piece of kit that I think most players out there would benefit from having something like this on their board and understanding how to use it, like understanding the EQ section, understanding gain staging, understanding like what a preamp is doing, understanding like how they're getting saturation from the transformer in here, and understanding the outputs. This is like, more people need to be hip to this thing. I think a lot of players get turned off to it because it's expensive. Like,
Yeah.
what are these retail for? I don't even remember. Like,
I think they're like $450.
yeah,
right now.
they're expensive, and it's a hard sell for someone who's like, if I'm going to spend almost $500, I want something fun. But dude, you will get so much use out of this as a guitar player and or bass player or keys player or singer or whatever. Like, it's a studio tool. It's a tone shaper. It's a fuzz. I mean, it's a classic. This is a modern classic. And the V2 is a significant step up from the V1. I had an early V1 years and years ago, and it was great. I loved it. And then I got this V2 when it came out, and it's just better. Just better in every way. So, yeah.
Why is it better, Addison? What did he do? Tell us his secrets.
Oh man, let me tell you, brother. Let me tell you. It's funny. I was in the studio the other day, and there was a guy tracking a solo, and he turned something on, and I found out later it was a Color Box, and it was the nastiest, awesome fuzz tone ever. And I don't remember what he's playing through, like an old tweet or something, but it just like sent it over the edge in such a cool way. And yeah, that pedal's so flexible because like you can get low gain stuff too. You just get that slight overdriven kind of like, tone shape thing out of it to fuzz to, it's like wild what you can do with it. But the transformers in there are great. I could go on at length, but it is also one of my favorite pedals. I've got one back here on the shelf, and I want to buy a second one.
Yeah, man. I wish they made a stereo version.
Ooh.
That would be, I mean just for
You
mixing.
know a guy to talk to.
Because one of the ways
guy.
I like to use it, and the reason it's not on a board, is I will just put it into I mix with pedals a lot and
Nice.
record with pedals. And this is one that I put in line, and I'll send, drums through it and just
Yeah.
smash it and blend those in underneath the
Yeah,
drums
dude.
or vocals or bass or whatever. It's sick.
That's awesome.
Love it.
All right, what do you got?
So here's one that, it's funny. When I first got this, I was like, this thing sucks. And then, like, wait a minute, maybe I'm being stupid. And I grew to really like it. And so for those that don't know me, I I clear the deck. I don't shuffle the deck. I clear the deck pretty often. So when something sticks around, that means I like it. The Hudson Broadcast,
Those are great, man.
I think it's very different. This is the Ariel Posen 2, which is basically like two of them in one box. I think. Forgive me, Hudson and Ariel, if I'm wrong. But I bought this thinking, oh, cool, it's an overdrive. And it's not. It's really like a preamp sort of thing. In a truer sense of the word. I mean, you can definitely get fuzzy and overdriven sounds out of it. But this thing, hitting a pushed amp, is such a magical thing. It does something that other overdrives and pedals don't do, and I think it's a really neat effect that I've seen people like cloning Hudsons, and that's like something I think that is for the modern era pedal builder. When your stuff starts getting cloned, it kind of means I think I made it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've started to see that for Mythos too, which is weird, but yeah. Hudson Broadcast is pretty.
I
neat.
have
you
the
ever messed with
version.
these?
Yeah, I have the version 1 AP. And it's rad. You're right.
Yeah.
It's not a straight up overdrive. It is adding like there's more. I don't know how you describe like more weight to it almost,
Yeah.
or more like the way it's breaking up or hitting the front end of your amp. There's just more like information or something. It's are there transformers in that?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I wish I had my screwdriver in here. I'd take it apart.
I think that's a real thing. Like, I'm a big believer. Get as many transformers in your signal path as possible. Like, especially for those of you that are using digital rigs, you're using modelers or amp sims or whatever. Like, having a good DI, like that pinstripe, the DISO plus or DISO plus. I don't even know how to say that, but yeah, using a good DI with a really good set of transformers in it will really help, in my experience, to kind of digitalize your signal.
Look at this thing.
Woo!
Look at that. Dang,
man.
That's nice.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, there's one transformer in here, and fancy parts. It's nice. There's a big Russian spaceship-looking transistor and stuff. And I have some of these. Cool. Pedal
Hey, you could
builders.
clone one. You could clone it.
No, it's so funny because there's definitely been pedals like the Vimaram Tube Screamer. Like I really wanted one, and like you can clone them. Like there's plenty of circuit boards and the schematics floating around, but like I want the real thing. I don't know. It's just not. It's not the same.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. My next one is maybe my favorite pedal of the last 5 years at this point. And it's
is it the Lark?
the Hologram Chroma console.
Oh yeah.
Dude, I have become such an evangelist for this thing. I have 2 of them now. One that stays on my board, one that stays here in the studio. And like a lot of the other things I have, it just stays patched into my patch bay. It's literally like on this shelf here in my patch bay, so that anytime I can send stereo signal through it and do whatever. It is, again, I'm all about like being able to cover a lot of ground with, 1 or 2 pedals, like the Color Box will do, like the BB will do. You can cover a lot of different styles of gain with a BB preamp. Chroma console is 4 different effects in one pedal. There's gain and saturation, there is modulation, there is time-based effects, reverbs and delays, and then there is a texture section, which is like compression, cassette sounds, broken sounds, and all kinds of stuff. And then underneath all that, you have these crazy effects. You can change the orders around. You can also record knob movements and have it loop that back. It's also a looper. It's stereo in and out. It'll take line level and instrument level, so you can easily integrate it into your DAW and mix with it, which you should be. If you're recording music, you should be mixing with pedals. It's the most fun thing ever. And it's just really well thought out. It's really well designed, and it sounds fantastic. It's amazing on bass. It's amazing on guitar. It's amazing on drums. It's amazing on vocals. It's a modern classic.
Is it? Because the only one I only heard one. Like in isolation. Someone brought one to the shop and was playing one, and I didn't even get a chance to try it because they left by the time I had time. And I thought it was like noisy, but it might have just been like they might have had like a crap power supply.
No, it depends on like what setting they had dialed up, because like you can make it. It can do everything from like subtle preamp tone shaping or a little bit of gain to wild out there like indie fuzz, your guitar is falling apart, to really ambient textural stuff, to everything in between. It really rewards like experimentation and spending time with it and just twisting knobs. And the nice thing about it is the way it's designed, there are menus, but it's not like menu divey. Basically everything is right in front of you. So you can you don't like what you did, it's easy to undo it and go back. You kind of can't screw it up,
right,
in a way, which is the sign of, I think, brilliant design and engineering. So, yeah,
and that's something. It's so funny because I desperately need to try. Some of this stuff, like, I don't want to try it, not because I'm not opposed to it. I just don't, like, I need to try it so I can have experienced it. I don't want to buy one because I just know what's going to happen. I'll be like, this is neat. It's going to go on a shelf like that Ariel Posen pedal lives up there. But I need to try those things because I never go try pedals. I want to go play amps and guitars and stuff like that. I played an amazing guitar yesterday and kind of like thinking about it, but I never try pedals.
Yeah, but every time you step out, you're just like, you have your lane and you know what's in that lane and that works for you. And I don't think the Chroma console is in that lane for you. It's because you just wouldn't use 3 of the 4 available slots. You would maybe like use 1 or 2 things and then that would be it. And for that use case, I think it's better just to have like individual pedals that'll do that 1 or 2 things for you.
Yeah.
But for me and the type of player, dude, this record that I've been working on, the Chroma console is on almost damn near every single track I'm putting down. It's on something. It doing like very subtle compression all the way to like the entire sound being the pedal. It's the best.
I really need to try it because you've talked a lot about it. And I do think, apart from anything else, it's one of the coolest looking things that's come out in the past 4 or 5 years too.
It's so rad.
Yeah, I'm like racking my brain. I'm like, what is a modern classic that I know and love, that I truly love, that I would like, that's not something that has been made for like 20 or 30 years, which is like, I want to say, like we talked about the DL4. DL4 is old.
Yeah.
Like, that thing is old. How many have died on you? Like, 'cause some died on me. Like back in the day.
I actually never owned an OG DL4.
No?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So you never went through the pain of going, oh, I killed it.
No.
Or it just died.
The whole DL4 thing, I completely missed that boat. And I've thought about trying to like go back and get one because I know people like Andy Pitcher who's like, they use it as an instrument, or they use several of them as like a thing. And I'm just like, you know what? I think the ship has sailed for me on the DL4. Like, it's just not my thing.
You're not going to minus the bear 3 or 4 of those things.
No.
But I mean, honestly, I think of all the pedals that like I cut my teeth on, the DL4 is probably one. It was one that really changed how I thought about pedals and making music, and mainly because of the looper and how easy it was for me to use. And like I'm thinking about stuff, and for me, a pedal that I just think everybody should have one permutation of on a shelf somewhere is a TC Electronic Ditto.
Oh yeah.
It for me was something that when I first moved to Nashville and moved away from my band and my friends, and I hadn't met anybody to play with. Subsequently, I still haven't met anybody to play with. I just relied on my looper so much, and I like the loopers on, built into the HX stuff and whatnot, if they have multiple foot switches. But there's something so simple and satisfying about having that little standalone. I had an X2, but just any of the Ditto stuff just works so well. And I think those are things that are going to stand the test of time, as inevitable as it will be for those things to just be commonplace inside other things. I think that the need for a standalone looper of some permutation will always be there.
No, they're great tools for practicing and getting better and like playing musically or writing, coming up with ideas, Yeah. I've not spent a ton of time using loopers, but I've been doing it more recently with the looper in the HX1 on my board, because it's just like you can pull it up, just do a quick little chord progression, and then it's also really helpful for dialing in sounds and stuff, like trying to dial in a lead sound that works. You can just loop something and then play over it. It's great.
Yeah, I've written a ton of stuff using loopers and gearing up for the next pedal release we're doing. I always make a little track, and some of them hit harder than others, I'll admit. And a lot of that is, is just like comes out of the ether.
Yeah.
And there's oftentimes I go back and watch the video. I'm like, man, this track blows. But I really want this next one to be good, and so I've been trying to loop and practice and write, and you know, I think that's something that if especially if you're trying to like gear up your chop or work up some chops, I don't know, like there's something to be said about jamming to like backing tracks and whatnot if you're isolated, but being able to write your own little progression and get a sense of like how to use it and be in time is really helpful.
Nice. So my next one is the Strymon Timeline.
Okay.
This is, again, like the Flint, this is just an established, like you need a delay, you need a comprehensive delay that's basically going to do everything and do it well and be easy to use and have modern features and be easy to integrate into MIDI and to, all of that kind of stuff. It is the pinnacle flagship delay still, 12 years later? I mean, man, I can't think of another delay in that category that I would choose over a Timeline if I'm buying one now. And that's a rare thing for a company to not have been dethroned. There's other cool ones like the Empress Echo system is rad. Sounds amazing. The user interface is kind of weird. It's a little hard, and the Timeline just works, man. It sounds fantastic. It's I mean, what else would you recommend in that sort of flagship delay category that would go above it?
I don't know. That sounds as good and is as easy to use. I don't know if there is anything in that camp. Because I do think the standalone Strymon pedals, like the El Cap and the Brigadier and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like they sound like apples to apples. They sound better sonically. I think they have more fidelity and character to them. But from a function standpoint, in a user interface standpoint, just to have all that in a pretty big box, but to have it all there it's kind of hard to beat. Because for me, I'm not looking for, like, I have an RE202 which has presets, but like it's very simple. But if I needed something to have a bunch, I don't know if I would think of anything other than a Strymon pedal, like a Timeline. Yeah,
man, I used it back when I was touring a lot and I was playing for artists. The Timeline was crucial for me because I needed, especially when I was playing with Jesse, like I needed over the course of a gig an analog delay sound, a tape delay sound, and a digital delay sound at different settings and different rates and different sounds. And the Timeline gave all of that to me, like reliably, perfectly. The only thing I broke one, and it wasn't me, it was on a church gig at North Point one time, and they had this, I don't know why they used to do this, but they would we had these weird pedal board platforms that, dude, okay, I can't believe this is now coming back to me. We've never talked about this. So North Point, this mega church, was like obsessed with having a clean stage look, right? So like the band would play and then everything would move off stage. Every instrument, everything was on risers. And the pedal boards, they had someone at North Point had engineered this thing where like it was a platform that your pedal board would go on, and there was a snake of cabling that would come out from the back. And somehow they had engineered this like hydraulic system to where a tech would come up and flip a switch, and these wheels would come out of the bottom of the platform and lift it up, and then they could just roll it off of the stage super easily. I'm like, or we could just pick it up. Like, why do we need, but these churches aren't taxed and they got to spend their money somehow, I guess. But, anyways, the only time I broke one was, one of the techs like coiled up the snake and just dropped it on the board and then used the snake to pull the board off the stage. And it went and just ripped two of the knobs off the top of the Timeline, like just popped them right off. And
oh, man.
They paid me for it. They got me a new one, but still.
Yeah.
Other than that, it has been, my original Timeline would still be alive today, and I bought it in like 2011 when they first came out. So
they're incredibly robust.
There's just
Pedals.
come on, man. Like,
It's wild. And it's funny because like they're not like hardly any. I don't even know if there's a normal potentiometer on that thing. They're all like rotary encoders. That's like changing the computer brain of it. It's wild.
Yeah.
And like when you look at those parts, because like you look at a guitar, like a pedal potentiometer, right? Like here's one I prepared earlier. Like they're pretty tough, and the ones we have are like fiberglass. A lot of people are going to this way, and these are like really hard to break. But those rotary encoders are like just these teeny tiny little flat. I mean, they have a lot of connection to the board,
right?
But the body of the pod is like usually plastic, and like I'm always shocked when they stand the test of time as long as they do.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I also think that they nailed the UI 14 years ago. 2011 is when the timeline came out.
14 years, dude.
14 years ago. And the Big Sky, same thing. Those two, like I have an H90. The UI on that thing is like, it's crazy. And I'm like, man, you really need to get some players in there to test these pedals before they're released. But Strymon just gets it right, man. Like the UI on those big box pedals still is so easy and quick to navigate and just incredible. I'm like, man, well done, Strymon, for 14 years ago creating something so good.
Yeah.
It just goes to show like you have to like look at all aspects, because that's like so oftentimes pedal builders, they build in like a vacuum.
Yeah.
And like, oh, this is so easy to use. You just have to like, jump rope for 5 minutes.
Yeah, I had an H9 for a few years, and I just got rid of it strictly because I hated the user interface. I hated the fact that I had to pair my phone with it, and I had to like go in and change. It sucked. Also, it flips the phase in your signal too, which
Why?
I don't know. It just does. And yeah, the Eventide. Look, Eventide's a great company. I owned. I had, before the timeline was out, I had the Time Factor and the Space, which is a super cool pedal. I've actually thought about just buying a Space again just to have it, because it was those old big box Eventide pedals just had a thing to them. Yeah. But yeah, dude, the H9, just the fact that you had to buy the extra little Barn 3 switcher thing so you could page it. It's like, this is just bad. This is bad design, And Eventide's a great company. Like, they've made some of the most iconic pieces of gear in history, like their rack mount effects and stuff have been used to make incredible records for years and years, but God, they got it wrong. The whole H series, I think, is just a complete miss, in my opinion. So
I've never heard one and thought, that sounds like how that's supposed to sound. Maybe because I'm such a nerd trying to just make stuff sound like, boring old stuff. But I've heard a lot of people, very prominent players, say like, "Listen, this rotary or this whatever." I'm like, that's not what a rotary cabinet sounds like.
Some of their algorithms sound incredible, like really, really good. Some of them are just like weird. They're just a little weird, and that's why they're not on my modern classics list, unfortunately. Sorry, Eventide.
Oh man, shade thrown. Okay. I'm trying to think of something else that's like modern, because all the stuff I can think of, I'm like, man, that came out like, it
doesn't matter
so
if it's sold today.
One pedal that I always, here's one that I always regret selling, and now they don't make it still. They made a new one, but the POG 2.
Oh yeah.
And I haven't played the new POG because it's like, Addison, what is it, like $1,000, like $2 million?
It's like $1,000 million, dude.
Is it that expensive?
No, they're like $500 or $600.
Yeah, I saw it too, and I thought about getting one. And I was like, "Fuck, that's a lot of money for
how much are they?"
POG.
It's not about the money for me. It's about how it looks.
It doesn't look.
I love Electro-Harmonix so much, but that is not a good looking pedal.
It's the least Electro-Harmonix looking Electro-Harmonix pedal ever made.
It's a great way to put it.
Which is weird, because all their stuff has such a thing, and that one it just looks like, I don't know.
Here's to hoping they don't do more in that vein.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
But wait, how much is it? $650 or $645. Okay.
Yikes.
But all that to say, I do think the POG has a sound, and it's up there with like all the like older octave stuff, the whammy, all the Boss octave stuff. They have a sound, but the POG specifically has such a weirdness and yet a musicalness to it that every time I've ever sold one, I think, man, I should have kept that.
Yeah.
Because it just takes you to a place that I don't like. Anything else take you there? I mean, I don't know. they're just weird, and I love it.
I have never owned a POG.
No.
I've never owned any generation of POG. Anytime I've ever needed that sound, I've always just kind of dialed it up with whatever, like the Line 6, sound or whatever.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel like I want one. It's the same thing with a whammy. I've never owned a whammy.
No.
And I feel like I should get one because it's like that's a whole like style and class of effect in and of itself that you kind of you got to learn how to play it. You got to learn how to, really do it. And I'm such a, Rage Against the Machine fan, have been most of my life.
Like Radiohead, Jack White,
Jack White. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I know. It's like, what am I doing with my life here? Total poser, man.
The whammy is incredible. I've played, so, like the famous, like, all the early Radiohead stuff that's like, it sounds like a chorus. It's not a chorus. It's the whammy and stuff. Like the original whammy, the whammy 1, it's so cool. There's something so tactile about using your foot to control pitch, and then it just sounds weird. I love it. I love the whammy. It's not something I would ever, like, I've never owned, I've had a whammy, the chat and the internet will help me. There was like a smaller black one that was plastic for a minute. That was in between after the whammy 1. And they made like a bass whammy that looked like this. But I had one of those for a while and didn't sound the same. It was smaller and different, but it was really fun. And it's kind of up there with the POG. It's like, I don't know. When you think of like having your toolkit, it's the weird tool that you only have to use every 6 months to every 6 years. When you don't have it, you're like, man, I wish I had that.
Yeah, I need to get one. I just need to get one. Every time I see one at, a store, I'm like, I should get one of those. And then I forget,
That's the whammy 2, Zach. So
the whammy 2, okay.
I guess so. The whammy 1
whammy
was
2,
the red
the
one.
reckoning.
Yep. The whammy 2 is plastic.
The return of whammy.
Whammy 2 electric boogaloo.
Okay. Maybe we do one more each.
Sure.
All right. So I'm looking back there because I know we're gonna finish filming and I'm gonna go, shit, I should have said this, but Beatronics Royal Jelly.
Okay.
It's not underrated necessarily because they were really hot a few years ago when they first came out. I love Beatronics as a company. Those guys are so cool. Everything they do is so rad. Their aesthetic is so cool. The design, and also, like, they're just the nicest people. They're so sweet. But the Royal Jelly is a legendary fuzz, distortion, drive, gain pedal.
Yeah.
There's been, several aesthetic iterations of it. That's part of what's so cool about Beatronics is like they'll just do wild, crazy looking versions of their pedals. But this is one that I think will stand the test of time and become a classic because the sound, it's not like any other fuzz, and it's not necessarily like any other distortion or overdrive that I've used, and the way that you can sort of blend the two sides and the way you can, it's just capable of a different thing. Not for everybody, not the most versatile sounding fuzz or distortion, but if you're the type of player that like your hands fit with that sound, which is a concept, like some people's hands, like my hands don't work for certain things, and like that's just part of playing guitar, right? Like Zach, when you play your pedals, you have a distinct sound on a Mythos pedal that I can't get out of them. And it's not a bad thing. It's not like I sound bad or I think Mythos pedals sound bad at all. It's just we're different players. And I think different people's hands suit different types of effects. And so for me, the Royal Jelly just suits the way I play, and it feels great. It's fun. It's got a great like weight to it and response in front of a really good amp. It's just a nice, classy. It's a classy pedal, man. It's awesome.
So I had one, and I'm the person that I couldn't connect with it.
Yeah.
I tried because I bought it from them, and it was like some limited colorway thing, and it was beautiful. And I love the way it looked, and it did sound good. I thought it really sounded good on bass.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I just couldn't make it work with my hands. And see, here's what, when I think, because you kind of live in don't live there, but you like fuzz. You're a fuzzy guy.
I live there. That's fine.
Yeah, okay.
That's my primary residence.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Live down
My shipping address.
I live down on Germanium Street.
Hell yeah.
You know, across
Sick.
from Tone Bender Way.
That's a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Dude, that is not a bad idea for a T-shirt.
So I feel like with overdrives and distortions, though, Rhett, you are a hard clip guy.
Yeah.
You're a hard clip, and I'm a soft clip guy. And there's something about how my fingers, when I'm playing the guitar, I feel more comfortable, and not even just my left hand, my right hand too, with a soft clip. And that pedal for me, I don't know what's going on inside it. I haven't the slightest idea, but I couldn't feel at home playing the Royal Jelly, which was
Because you
a
got
shame.
soft clip hands, boy. You got soft hands, brother.
I've built so much fence. We'll drive and measure it. We'll go get one of those things that they roll in the yard.
Ironically, it's probably because you've done more manual labor than me. Your hands are so gnarled that you can't play hard clipped pedals.
Yeah, I'm too rough.
Yeah.
Too rough.
Yeah. No,
But-
that is a thing, man. Like it is a thing. And I hear it a lot with Fuzz. Like Addison, you were just saying in the chat, you don't get on with Fuzz.
I wrestle with it, man. You've suggested a couple to me, and I need to go and buy a couple fuzz pedals.
Just
and
come
try
to my
them, but-
shop and
Okay.
we'll just sit and play.
sit
Because
and
fuzz
enjoy
is
it.
one of
Yeah.
those things you have to find the right circuit that appeals
Yeah.
to you, that connects with your hands, and you got to know how to like set your amp up, because you can't
Okay.
just like
Well-
take your normal sound and go plaque.
Yeah.
But here's the thing with Fuzz specifically, where I feel like a lot of players go wrong is they don't play to the sound. A lot of and I'm not saying this is you, Addison, but just like some players, they turn on an effect and then just play the exact same way they were playing, and it's like the effect is just on top of what they're doing. And I think that's the wrong way to think about most effects, honestly, but specifically Fuzz. Like you have to change the way you're voicing your lines, your licks. What you're probably not playing chords. If you are, it's like power chords. The way you're muting, like you really have to have your muting together. If you're using a really gnarly fuzz sound, the way you attack the string, it's just all different. And so you have to change what you're doing to fit the sound. And that's why I recommend, like, if you're not, if you're fuzz curious, start with a fuzz face. A good
Okay.
fuzz face circuit, because it's the most like easily accessible way to get into fuzz from overdrive, because they're not super aggressive. It's not like a big muff or tone bender or something like that where they get really, I mean, even though a fuzz face is a Mark 1.5 tone bender, but still like one of my favorite ones is the jam pedals. The fuzz phrase is a great place to start.
And I think fuzz faces are hard. I think tone benders are way easier to play than a fuzz face.
Well, I say that because I think some people don't. It's like the amount of distortion that comes from like a tone bender, a Mark 1 tone bender, can be too much for a lot of people, whereas like a fuzz face cleans up really well.
Yeah.
And, the way I've always run a fuzz face is just with the fuzz circuit all the way up, and then you just dial the volume into taste, but you can back that off a little bit. Like, yeah.
Yeah, there's only about, on a fuzz face, the pot has, I don't know, about that much range to it. And
Yeah.
it's like, it's all the way up, it's a little back, and then it's off.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
But to that end, I think my last pick, and I think one pedal that will be a modern classic, is the Jesse Davey Kingtone, the Mini Fuzz.
Oh, yeah.
Because, man, I've had one. I cleaned the deck, and it's gone now. But it was not for not liking it.
Oh, man, I would have bought that from you. I didn't know you were selling it.
Well, yeah, it's fine. Buy a new one from Jesse. Support him, because he He unfortunately his house burned during the fires. So
Yeah.
he's back on his feet now, and he's building again. So for all those out there, go give King Tone some love, because it's a husband and wife team, and they're amazing. But that pedal, I don't know how he does it, man. Like the having the little bias control and everything, and then all the little voicing switches and stuff. I think when you hear Jesse play, you get, oh, this is like a real guitar player designing a real fuzz that works for more than just doing like Strat Hendrixy things. It works with humbuckers, P90s, everything. And that pedal, it's I don't know, like that. It's a great entry point into fuzz.
It also looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Which, not for nothing, like we hear with our eyes a lot. But the design and layout of and the enclosure that he uses is, because I borrowed yours for a few months.
Oh yes.
Was it last year, year before last? And they're just cool, man. Like, everything King Tone does is cool. So yeah, we'll leave a link. Let's put a link in the description to where you can go get a King Tone, not affiliate link or anything like that. But yeah, go support them.
Yeah, they're incredible.
Okay, we want to read the chat sort of super list here, Addison.
Yep, I've got.
So this is from our
got a
patrons
few.
who've been watching, and the chat's just been like flying with like suggestions of pedals here. So
Pinto mentions the Honeybee, which I think is a cool thought. Jonathan B mentioned HX effects, and I'd argue that whole series of like HX has kind of changed things in a big way.
Yeah. I didn't say that. I've thought about putting the HX effects on there, but the thing is, it kind of can't be a modern classic because it'll get updated at some point in the next few years, and it'll be a new user interface. It's a piece of tech almost more than a pedal, but it's fantastic.
Yeah, that's true. The Golden Fleece, because Zach isn't going to shout out any of his own stuff.
I will
would
attest to that too. That the Golden Fleece is actually another excellent place to start in Fuzzland.
It's
That's
super
awesome.
forgiving.
Dang.
For the unfuzz friendly.
That might be a good start for me then.
Yeah, come on over now.
I'm just waiting for I'm waiting for your sickness to leave, bro.
I'm not contagious.
Oh, okay, all right. We've got a Strymon Deco. That's a great mention.
Why didn't I say the Deco?
Because someone else had to. It's a good one.
It's a great one, man.
Yep.
Strymon okay.
No, go for it.
They're killing it.
Strymon good.
They know what up.
Strymon good.
The Brown Protein, I think that is a great shout as well.
Yeah.
Dave and the boys and the homies. Cali 76.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. We've got The Mood, which I'm surprised that you didn't mention.
Yeah, so
right?
and there's a reason I didn't say The Mood, because it is one of my favorite pedals of all time. And what I have found, it happened on the session last week. We walked in the session, and it's a room full of amazing musicians and engineers and people that know their shit, and everyone looks at the Mood and they're like, I don't know how I've got one of those. I don't know how to use it. I've never understood it. And it's like, so I end up kind of, whenever I pull it out, it become like a Mood teacher to people. And so I think that's the downfall of the Mood in terms of it not being a future classic or modern classic, because I think most people don't understand what it does. It's very simple. You just have to think about it a different way. But yes, one of my all-time favorite pedals.
It sounds like we need a Rhett Scholl YouTube video on the Mood.
How to Mood.
How to Mood.
I did a video on the
Did
Mood.
you? Okay.
Yeah, and it did terribly because I think people just, I don't know, maybe it was a title and thumbnail thing, but I think people just see it and they go, I don't know, whatever.
That's too overwhelming. All right.
Pedal.
Last couple, the Plumes, we needed a tube screamer in there.
Had to have a tube screamer.
We had to have a tube screamer. And then a couple I thought of that no one in the chat mentioned. The RC Booster is probably one of my favorite overdrives, which I know is, Zach, you could probably speak to this, but that whole topology, like the AC, the RC, the BB, they all kind of start in tube screamer land, right? And then
Pretty sure.
okay, yeah. So that pedal's amazing. A lot of mine are like Nashville classics. The Noble's ODR1, I think, is an important mention, which is a classic, but you can still get.
Yeah, or in the Protein, that's an ODR1 and
a
Blues Breaker, which is one of the best.
I think
circuits
the
ever.
updated ODR1, here's one.
Here's one I prepared earlier.
With the bass switch in there, is just like, I don't know. The bass switch is incredible. These are amazing, and they're
Yeah,
like
I need to get one of
$100.
those too. I know.
Yeah. I think even one of the newest ones has a bass potentiometer. So
Yeah,
it's
there's a
not
new
just
one
an
that's got,
on-off.
like, the little one.
Yeah, I need to pick one of those up because I had you guys heard of a Bacardi Boo? You know what that is from Apollo Approved?
What?
Familiar? No? Okay. I just
Bacardi?
that was a mouthful.
Bacardi, yeah, are we talking about like...
No. Apollo Approved is I think he's from Indonesia, but he builds like really, really, really overbuilt clones of stuff. So it's called the Bacardi Boo, and I don't know where the name came from. Maybe Tom Bukovac, Bacardi, something in there. I don't know.
Okay.
All right. Anyways, it's cool.
I'm thinking back to that old Bacardi campaign of Bacardi and Cola, they get the job done. Nobody?
What job?
No.
You don't remember those commercials from like 15 years ago? Nobody?
No.
Chat? No one?
Anybody?
remember.
No? Okay.
Jesus. Yeah, thank you. And yeah, Nick's got it. Thank you, Nick.
Two more. The Morning Glory, I think that's worth a mention.
Yeah.
I think that's going to go down in history, and I would argue that maybe Josh would say the same thing, but that has really put that.
I think that
might have
changed
been
the entire boutique bluesbreaker landscape.
Well, and to add on to that, as an addendum, the series of JHS pedals, like the Muffaletta, the Bonsai, and the Rat. What is Pack Rat? Dude, the Pack Rat is one of my favorite pedals, and Zach, who I'm playing with, just bought one because he played mine last week in rehearsal, and I was like, correct me if I'm wrong, Addison, but as I understand it, it's like there are 9 actual Rat circuits in that box, and the switch is like digitally switching between them, but those are full. You've got 9 analog pedals in one box. That's brilliant, man.
Kind of wild. Yeah.
The Rat is simple enough to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Same tube screamers. All right, I'll end us on a maybe a controversial note. King of Tone.
I mean, it definitely is, but it's not modern, and you can't buy that thing anywhere.
Yeah,
you can technically. You can. I'm
a big fan of that pedal.
Look, it's a great
for
pedal. It's a great pedal. I don't want to shit on the pedal, and I don't want to shit on Analog Man. I really like the Analog Man stuff. I think it's cool. It's ridiculous that people pay the prices they do for that pedal. Do not spend, what are they, $900 now?
Used.
Dude, don't do that.
It's not worth it.
That's like when the Cybertruck came out and someone spent like $140,000 because they had to have the Cybertruck now. Like, that's the same thing to me. If you want one, get on the list and wait. What is it, a year now, 2 years, whatever it is?
It's about 6 years.
Okay, fine. But to me, that's like, it's a great pedal for what it retails for, the $200 to $300 range. It's a great overdrive pedal in that range. Do not spend more than retail on that pedal.
I agree with that.
Here's the thing that boggles my mind is, and this is like, true to every pedal builder everywhere. Like sometimes somebody will order a pedal on Friday, and then Sunday night, someone's like, "Hey, have you shipped my thing yet?" And then they're like, people will wait for like 5 or 6 years for a 2-in-1 overdrive. Let's just go buy 2 of the MXR things and put them side by side.
It's fine.
2 Princes of Tone.
It's fine. Hey, guess what? Those. You're going to sound exactly like you already sound.
Wow.
You just are. You're going to sound
so
the same.
real.
You just are. Real. I'm sorry. It's like the king of tone is not going to completely revolutionize your sound and your playing. You're still going to sound exactly like you.
Yeah.
So there you go.
They sound fine.
They sound. I think they're good. They're cool.
They're not loud enough. The Bluesbreaker circuit in itself sucks at volume. That's why the Morning Glory and what Josh did by adding that gain recovery stage after it fixed the problem. That's why everyone else does it.
Go cancel Zach. Cancel Mythos. Gear Page. Do your thing.
It's fine. I don't see the point of having a knob that you have to turn all the way up to make it useful.
No, I get it.
Fix it.
I get it. I just think they are so overhyped, and I think it's completely dumb to spend.
I don't think it sounds bad. I just don't think it sounds.
They're fine. They're
great.
No, it's fine. And then you see them on boards, and people are always like, "Oh, he's got the king of tone on the board." It's the same like Dumble thing. It's like, "Oh my god, it's a Dumble. Do you see that Dumble? Oh my god, I'm in the same room as a Dumble. Holy shit!" It's like, okay, it's an amp. Yes, they're historical. Yes, there's a history behind them. Yes, it's an amp. Can't wait to see the comments on this episode. All right. Do we have a rig to dip?
Yeah.
Dude, this is okay.
God, listen to how dry my.
All right. I'm seeing a massive problem here, but let's get through it.
So this is Andrew G's rig. He's got a iconic La Playa, a 1963 ES335 reissue, Saris P2 from Novo, a parts caster, a 2-rock TS1 and 1x12 cab, and on his pedal board, we've got a Jam Retro Vibe and Harmonious Monk, a Coriolis Hail to the King, which is a King of Tone clone, the 1N34A Mjolnir we did, the Critter American Fuzz, Valbruck, how do you say that? Kaluna V2, GFI Solus Ventus, Crybaby Dual Wah, and a Disaster Area DPC5 Gen 3. Look at that.
Look at that. Okay. Do you see the problem here? Look at that 335 and look at how it's leaning against the aux.
Woo!
Bro, Andrew, buddy, I don't know how to tell you this. That's not a good idea.
It's right by a closet or door here. I got the strap. This always makes me so nervous where there's a strap on the floor in front of a guitar. That's an accident waiting to happen.
And of all the guitars in your collection to do that with, the Gibson is not the one, because that's gonna be a bad day.
Put that parts caster down there.
Like, how did you do that? It's like literally perched on the G-string tuning machine.
Maybe he slid it right up against that power strip behind there. And then
wait, zoom back in. Is this like an optical illusion? Is there like a stand that I'm just not seeing here?
I don't think so. It looks like it's just leaning.
Oh
no, there's nothing under there.
Oof.
Man, brave
dude. All right.
Well, hey,
just get you another one of those wall hangers, Andrew, and stick that 335 up there, and you'll be all right. Okay, this is a cool rig, though. I mean, that Novo, that Saris J is rad. Stop tail, Saris J.
It's a P2. It's a Saris P.
Oh,
P2. Sorry.
Excuse
HighVoltageGuitars.com.
TS1, legendary amp. Oh. Absolute legend.
Every time I play one, I'm like, I have to have this.
Yeah. I really think you've got all the main food groups covered here, guitar-wise. And I maybe would like to see a Telly in here, but I think, you've got it covered. Pedal board looks pretty well laid out. You got a really nice selection of stuff here. I don't know what that fuzz is. I've not...
The American Fuzz, yeah, it's in like an old rat, like a flat top rat enclosure.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure what it is. American Fuzz. I mean, I have to assume it's like a Big Muff style thing, but I don't know. We might have to.
It looks rad.
Might have to look that one up for us.
Yeah, dude. And then the dual wah, I don't know. That's just like it's got two wah circuits in it, and you can switch between them?
Yeah, I think, see that little switching right down there? Yeah, but I love the look of that because it looks like an old Univibe foot controller.
Yeah, it's cool.
With the two strips and the chrome top. Really neat. And it looks like there's two LEDs on the bottom there. So maybe when you activate it, you can tell which is which. But
now, riddle me this, Batman. Zoom in on the retro vibe here. Is that the input on the side with nothing plugged into it?
Well, that's probably the beginning of his chain.
Oh, yeah. Okay, you're right. There you go. So he's going into the board there, and then okay, all right.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's top mount up there.
Yeah. Okay.
So what are these? What's going on with this? This thing? What is that? Oh, man, there's some teeny tiny font on that.
Bro, what is that? Can you read? Oh my God! And it's script font too.
Yeah. You got to go sans serif when you're getting that small.
Hey, first rule of fonts: when you get that small, sans. You got to go sans.
Guys, I hate to break it to you, but that is a king of tone.
No, I know.
Yeah, I know that.
Okay, all right,
Madison.
I'm sorry.
I know that.
I'm sorry.
So,
this is a cool rig. I do
a lot of gain.
Yeah, you got your gain covered. Okay. Guitar selection is great. Amp selection all time. That's a legendary amp. You've got too much gain happening here. So here's what I would do. I would ditch the Kaluna. That's a is that a
tube drive? It's like an amp in a box thing.
You definitely don't need that with the TS1. So you have one of the amps with arguably one of the best built-in overdrive sounds out there in the TS1. I really don't think you need 4 stages of gain on your board. So what I would do is ditch the King of Tone clone, ditch the Kaluna, keep the Mythos,
That's right.
keep the Fuzz, and then I would add some modulation in here. You've got the Univibe, which is cool. You got the Jam, which is cool. We need.
Do you think that having the Harmonious Monk and the Univibe, because
Yeah, you got some redundancy there.
A bit redundant.
You got some school of redundancy school. Okay, what do we swap out here though? I think definitely ditch the 2 drive pedals. The Solus Ventus is great. That does all your reverb and your delay needs.
Yeah, and you could just run that through the loop.
Yep.
And it would be amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, if I was playing that rig, I would probably I would ditch one of those and keep the other. I would probably keep the Univibe and then maybe get like a flanger or something just to do something a little bit different. Yeah,
Jonathan in the chat, HX1 I think is probably the move here because then it just fills in the gap. That's such a great pedal for just like, hey, I need this to be able to cover any other ground you might need. And then that'll give you a little more space on the board here too. Okay. Great selection.
Yes.
Clean up the board a little bit. Please get a stand for that 335 for Christ's sake. And I'm going to give you I'm going to give you 8.9 shoils here. I want to give you more, but that 335 is really bothering me, man.
That's exactly the number I was thinking, 8.9. I love the setup, but I think there's a little bit of redundancy. I would get, I don't know if that little disaster area thing can do all your amp switching.
Ooh, that's a good point. I don't know.
But I would find something that you could have that accessible with your feet, then you don't need as much gain. Get some other weirdness happen on the board so you can be a little bit more, add some different color to it. And yeah, definitely get one of those little cheap folding stands or something.
Yeah, dude.
But maybe he's like me, and like I most of my guitars live in the case, especially at this time of year. So
yeah, this time of year, most of my stuff is up too, or it's in this room, which is being humidified. But
can we pull up this? Can you pull up Alex's comment, Addison? We gave Alex a 6.5. His guitar was very secure.
You know what, Alex? Okay, I'm sorry about that. To be fair, we've not seen a guitar situation this precarious on the show before. Andrew's really, I mean, he's living
He's living on the edge. Dog.
Living on the edge. I mean, that 335 is living on the edge for sure.
Corey Congilio would always just lean his guitar, his 67 335 on his amp. But there's a way to do it. I know.
And that's not the way Andrew's doing it.
No.
That's not it, man. Don't lean it up against the tuning machine because it's not it.
It's all right.
Okay. All right. There you go.
Well, we covered a lot of stuff. We talked about a lot of pedals. We'll try our best to consolidate this. Addison, if you got to chop up all of
this
it
is
to make
great.
sense.
Nah, man, this is great. You guys want a shill or you want to roll?
Oh, yeah. Oh, dude, I got a great shill. You're going to love my shill today.
You go shill.
All right. I'm going to... Zach, you need to pay attention for this because you're going to like this a lot.
Okay.
So get yours ready. Do you know what you're going to do?
Yeah, I'm just going to do that.
Okay, so my birthday's coming up next week, and I had mentioned offhand to Tilly that I wanted one of these things because I saw it on Tested. Adam Savage did a one-day build with this a few weeks ago. And it is a Japanese toolbox from a company called Toyo. They've been making toolboxes since, like, I think the 50s or 60s. And I saw this on Tested. Adam Savage's wife got him one for Christmas, and he did a 1-day build. It's this model where he lined the interior with walnut. Like he made like a walnut box that fit perfectly in here, and then a walnut box that fit perfectly in the lid, and it was amazing. And I saw that and I was just like, I want that. I don't know what I'm going to put in it, but toolboxes are, something like this is good to have around, maybe use it as a tech box when you go into a gig, and this has all your string changing stuff and your, extra cables or whatever in it. But I'm a sucker for like well thought out design and just really well made stuff. It's just a simple stamped steel toolbox, but because it's made in Japan, it's like extremely well made. And then, dude, look at the box that it came in.
You can put your drugs in that toolbox.
Yeah, dude. Like, look at just the typeface, like the stamping on here. It's like, I don't know. I'm just a sucker for this stuff, man. It's like
it just looks old.
It looks old, but it's like perfect.
That's cool.
And this is just the thing that it comes in, and then you throw it away. But
are you gonna keep that?
I wanted to, until it was like, absolutely not. I have way too many boxes for like pedals and stuff that I've kept downstairs. So
it looks collapsible.
Yeah, I know, but isn't that like, that's just cool, man. So
hey, chat wants to know how much it was. Do you have any idea?
No, it was a gift. So I saw them like advertised a bunch on Instagram because, Meta is listening to everything all the time. So, but yeah, Toyo Japanese toolboxes, and they come in a bunch of different like shapes and sizes and all that kind of stuff. So
you can get them on Amazon. They're very affordable.
Yeah,
go check them out on Amazon.
Toolbox. So there you go.
It's neat. So I forgot. We've all been there. Forgot we bought something. And recently I was cleaning them off. You can't tell because it's a mess. But I found that a purple Wawa. This is just a normal GCB 95 Crybaby that I bought it at CME. I was like, hey, how much is that purple Wah? And they're like, what purple Wah? I was at the store. And they were like, we have no idea where this came from.
Dude, what?
And it says limited edition on the front of it. But if anyone knows like what this is for, it's just a normal purple Wah, but it's got a beautiful plum color. And I don't know if anyone knows this. I love really like crazy Wahs, especially something like this. You're not gonna miss that on stage.
No, no, you're not.
So I modded this one. It sounds really good, and I'm gonna mod this one too, because Wahs are fun. I'm proud to say I'm really good with a wah pedal. So
it is a skill set.
It is.
You got to learn how to play a wah. That's for sure.
It was my first pedal. So
hey, it was my first pedal.
Hey, look at that.
I had a Jimi Hendrix wah for my first pedal.
Oh, that one sucks.
Well, I didn't know. I think I still have it somewhere. Nice. All right, well, that's going to do it for today's episode. We're going to go jump into the bonus episode for the patrons. Sign up for our Patreon, link down below, to get access to the bonus episode as well as access to the show while we're filming. And thanks for watching. Like I said, we'll have links to all the pedals and everything we talked about in the description down below. Those will be affiliate links, so it's a great way to support us if you like what we do here. And we'll see y'all next week.
Bye, everybody.